Not every film has to deliver Succession or Oppenheimer levels of dialogue or character work. Sometimes you just want to watch Jason Statham fight a big Jaws. And oh boy, does the Meg 2 The Trench deliver on its premise of Jaws, but big. Mostly. It mostly delivers on its premise of giant CGI sharks attacking people and people screaming and fighting them in ludicrous ways. It mostly delivers on a premise that is inherently ridiculous and insane and stupid and fun and campy and cheesy and all the good delicious things you want in a giant big CGI shark movie. Yet I find myself disappointed at the end of the film. It does a lot of things that are exciting and amazing, yet I feel like they are just little snippets, little moments that they've put into a trailer to make an exciting, amazing trailer, which blew me away, yet the film doesn't really offer much else. The film has so much potential. The film has so many elements that I feel like should be exciting and interesting. There is a scene in which they set up right at the start of the movie where they've all got like mech suits, like it's an anime, and they like there's like a big concrete like thing and they smash it and they're like, whoa! But like, no one's in a mech suit at any point, like, punching the megalodons, or like, snapping teeth out and like, stabbing them in the eye and doing things with these mech suits. They just walk in the ocean. I had a lot of fun with it, but I don't think it's amazing, and I don't think it reaches the heights that it could have potentially done if it had truly, fully embraced what this film and what this franchise should be. And it almost gets there. It almost gets there. And yet it keeps getting bogged down and like, it gets like almost there. Like it sets up moments that could be so amazing and fun and exciting and gives you like one or two shots and you're like, wow, they were great and awesome shots. And then it just kind of like doesn't go the full way. And it just like doesn't go the extra mile to be something truly exciting that it really could be. And I think that it should be. And I think the trailers kind of imply it's going to be that film. And the trailers tricked me. I went to see it opening day, and yet I found that the trailer it spoiled and had featured in that trailer every single big great moment, and there's nothing else that the film is kind of like hiding from us that it's like going to reveal in the movie. The movie, like, there are more scenes, obviously, because the movie's not 2.5 minutes, but it almost feels like I had more fun watching the trailer. Like, the trailer got me so hyped and excited, and I was like, oh my god, what isn't this movie gonna do? Anything else, it turns out. Kind of anything else. And that's a little harsh, for sure, but I just think the potential, it was so rich to give us some juicy, juicy Jason Statham versus the Meg, but bigger, and maybe there's more of them this time. And it kinda doesn't. A big difference in this film compared to the first one is that there are villains. Human villains. The first movie didn't really have any villains of any sort. For some reason, they made the billionaire, like, kinda nice, which feels really odd and insincere, and maybe they don't know what billionaires are? I don't know. Or maybe the movie was made by, like, a billionaire's son or something. I don't know what the thinking was there, but they made him kind of nice. And at one point, he's like a little bit like kind of, ooh, money and greed or whatever. And it's like a little self-serving, but mostly a nice guy who also cries human tears, which I don't think billionaires can do, as far as I'm aware. But this film has actual villains, and they are paper thin. They make the phrase paper thin seem like I'm talking about some kind of Game of Thrones level book. It is... I can't really express without going too far into detail how paper thin they are, but just imagine like the length of time I've talked about how paper thin the villains are with their motivations and the reasons for being villains. I have already spent more time in this review than the movie spends explaining their villainous reasons, and it's almost so ridiculous, I think I had fun with it. Like, it was so ridiculous. A character is just like, I don't care about the environment or whatever, I'll make $1 billion! And they essentially cackle like Mr. Burns. It is so weird. And the way all of the villain storylines are wrapped up feels almost like they forgot they were in the movie and then went, oh my god, we need to wrap this up. And they do a thing. The movie's called The Meg to the Trench. You can guess what happens to them, but I won't spoil anything here. There's a lot more human-related stuff in this film than I feel like is maybe even needed. Like, I feel like in the first half of the movie, they set up a lot of stuff, and I was actually quite intrigued. But then the way the back half of the film goes, which I think is stronger, it just kind of feels like that first half wasn't really necessary in the way you were setting things up, because they don't really pay anything off. I don't know what you're thinking. This is the big movie about big sharks. Stop talking about the people. Well, I would if they would stop putting the people in the movie just constantly having human bickerings. There's like a spy character, and it's like, oh my god, who's the spy? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, the one person it could be, and oh my god, it was. One aspect of the human characters that is, of course, amazing is Jason Statham. Jason Statham is really, really good, as he always is. He kills it in every role. In this, he plays the classic Jason Statham character you know and love. Big, tough, macho, manly man. But of course, he's got a heart of gold. And I know what you're thinking. If you're talking about cast, tell me, is my favorite actress ever Ruby Rose in this film? No. I think she might be the only character that survived the first film that doesn't return. I don't know why. So all the characters come back, they're underwater, they do a big mission, and the Megs appear again and they fight Megs. The plot doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. You go see these movies because you want to see big sharks do some big action, and all of that stuff is fine. A lot of the CGI looks amazing. Some of it doesn't look great. There's so many scenes in this movie with big creatures and monsters that kind of will make you wish you were watching like Peter Jackson's King Kong, Pirates of the Caribbean 2, King Kong vs. Godzilla, essentially any movie with monsters in it, The Host. I mean, I could literally just start listing every monster movie. There are so many great monster movies that feel so creative and interesting and ambitious in their camera work and their framing of the monsters and their choice of what to do in these big spectacle moments. And this film has so many moments that in theory should be so exciting and inventive and interesting, and yet a lot of them are like shockingly bland. The first hour of the movie, there is a lot of characters talking with like stuff shielding their faces so you can't really see. A lot of the action in the first hour is very murky and dark. And there's some really great shots of the megalodons, the Megs, the titular Megs. And they look really good. And then they kind of just like have them swim about, and they don't really do many interesting things with them. And that's kind of the most disappointing thing, is like, I'm here to see big Meg action. I want to see Jaws, but big. And you see Jaws, but big. But apart from actually seeing that and being like, wow, that looks cool. I like big sharks. Scary. It doesn't really do anything that makes me kind of like excited or interested. I didn't hate this movie by any means. I thought it was pretty fun. It's 2 hours that will go by. Is it worth paying full price to see it in the cinema? Like $20? I don't know. Maybe go on Cheap Tuesday. I feel like you could probably find like the first 5 minutes, which is like set in like the dinosaur era, like 65 million years ago. I feel like that's the best bit. They're probably going to release like that just as a clip, I feel, because like a short little 3-minute thing. They'll just release that as a clip. You could probably watch that, then the trailer, and you've like seen the best bits of the movie. And that bit at the start, it's so fun and interesting and awesome. The thing that's so exciting about it isn't really wholly original or unique. Like, they're doing a big megalodon bit in the dinosaur era, but it's just the same thing as we saw in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. But that was stealing the same bit once again from Jurassic World. But that was also stealing it from Walking with Dinosaurs, the documentary that was made like 15 years earlier. So, I don't know. It's like not very creative, even when it's doing creative things. That makes sense. Kind of derivative, kind of nothing. Why isn't this movie MA? Why is there no blood? I feel like all my issues would be gone if every time the megalodon like ate someone, there was just blood everywhere and there's like body parts and just gore and horrible, disgusting things. And then my stupid little mind would be satiated with gore and horror. But unfortunately, this is no Piranhas. It's just the same as the Meg 1 for an audience, for a bigger audience, for children and stuff. So I guess that's fine. I just find that really disappointing. Also, the little dog Pippin is back.